So one of the things that you went through with Betterwealth is you went through our four pillars with Jeremy, which is clarity, efficiency, consistency, and use. And
Mhm.
then we back that up by a financial model. Anything that jumped out by going through the model or going through clarity or going through efficiency that we're like, wow, like I've never thought of that before, or that was a win as it relates to going through that process.
The model to me was the coolest thing because Jeremy would say, "Oh, okay, so you're planning to do X, Y, and Z in year, A. Let's see what that does." And you can see it. You're like, "Oh, you're 70, you're out of money. You might want to change that a little bit." You know, the ability to visualize using that model is awesome.
This is Better Wealth with Caleb Guilliams. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Better Wealth podcast. I am here with a good friend of mine, Neal Cox, and we're going to be launching a new series. I don't know exactly how it's going to look like, but we really want to talk to some of our incredible people in our community who are truly living a better way, living more intentionally, and get it. And so, Neal, thank you for being one of the first to launch this series. And I appreciate you, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me on here. You were a guest on my kind of more localized podcast earlier last year, and that was great too. And I'd like to get you back on again sometime.
Yeah, that was a blast. We met at a platform marketing event.
Hmm.
You are a very successful real estate professional and help a lot of people. And we met. I was talking about my book, The End Asset, about better wealth, and you I just remember connecting with you at that event, and that started an amazing relationship. 2021 is going to be the year that we really take community seriously and connect people. And when you are one of those people that just have an incredible story, because when you came into our life and working through the process, I know that you've met a lot of people on the team. I know you work a lot with Jeremy, and just to see not only your financial life radically change, but to see how your mindset has changed. So,
Right.
with that, if you could give a little bit of context of who you are, where, like, what you do, and then I would love to talk about the process of working with Better Wealth and the mindset that you are having as it relates to before, while, and then during.
Okay. Well, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and born and raised here. Spent only a little bit of time out of it when I went to college in Ohio, and then spent a year in Colorado, kind of playing, and that was fun. Um, I became a teacher, and the reason I was a teacher was because what else was I going to do with an art degree? Um, I had no direction, I had no anything. I'd always thought like, yeah, I could never like be a business owner or entrepreneur. I don't know anything about that. Um, and it turns out now I'm basically running three separate ventures. Um, I was completely dissatisfied with my job teaching. I like kids. I like a lot of the idea of teaching. It's just a crappy job. It's just so much that you have to do has nothing to do with kids and teaching. And the support that you get most of the time is not adequate. And I kind of stepped out on into unknown territory and became a realtor, thinking I like this. I've liked the process. I like people. It's similar to teaching in that way. I've always been a people person. Um, it took a little bit of time to get going, but one of the things that really kicked it off was becoming a client of platform marketing with Tim Chermak, who is a brilliant mind as far as marketing goes. He
And
really
by the
is.
way, Tim's been on this show. We have had great reviews from that, and he is a brilliant mind and a great friend. So yeah, shout out to Tim.
Yeah, he really is. In fact, you asked if I had a hard stop today, and after this, I do. It's on a mastermind led by Tim. And it's like, I have to go, anytime Tim's teaching, you go listen. Business picked up very well once I started with platform. And all along, we'd wanted to get into the real estate investing sphere. We're doing that now as well. But then late in 2018, I had a closing coming up for some very good friends. And I was like, I want to get them something really nice when we close as a gift. And I think it'd be really cool. And I had in my mind, I was like, okay, it'll be a gift bag and it's shaped like a house. It'll be super cool like that. So I go to buy one. It doesn't exist. I spent a lot of time in the bowels of the internet. Whoever goes to page 12 of an internet search these days, well, I did, and it just did not exist. And I thought, this should exist. I go to my wife a little time after that, and I say, hey, honey, I've got an idea. It's a bag shaped like a house. And she's like, you want to do what? And we spent a lot of time preparing, and she agreed to invest a little bit of money in this. I think our first run was 3,200 of these bags, cost us a couple $1,000. We had them sitting in the living room for a while, and then up in a space in our bedroom upstairs. It's like, I need to figure out a way to market them. Yeah. Went to a business planning session out of town with some folks I know in the end of 2019, and was showing them to people, and these guys really liked it. I sold a few orders from that, and then I was crazy busy real estate wise, and I'm like, I need some time to sit down and figure out the marketing. COVID hits, and a lot of my business died, almost all of it.
Yeah.
I had contracts that were good, that were folding. I had people that were about to buy or sell say, well, we're waiting now. And it was like sitting by the phone waiting for it to ring every day, making calls, doing all kinds of stuff. Nothing was happening. So I said, okay, I'm going to take some time and I'm going to figure out this marketing. And being a client of Tim's, I know enough to be dangerous, not enough to be super effective with it like them, but enough to be dangerous. And I started working on the bells and whistles of all this. I had a photo shoot with some previous clients that I thought had a good look to be the models, and launched an ad campaign on Facebook, and the orders started rolling in. Oh. So that first run, we sold out in like the first month of COVID.
Wow.
Yeah. So then we had to make a bigger order of like 10,000. And the problem with COVID there is the lead time to get these things right now is like 3 or 4 months. So when we were selling them, I mean, they were selling like crazy. Like, shoot, we got to order more, but it's going to take another 3 or 4 months. So we're like, okay, well, we'll order 30,000 this time. And we recently received the 30,000 order, nice, which is crazy. The space involved in 30,000 of them. A few months ago, we had to buy an office space because it was getting too big to operate out of our kitchen and basement. Wow. Like we were. Wow. And it gave me, so we had an office. We moved recently. At the other office, at the other house, I was using the home office and my wife was traveling. Well, COVID made her work from home mostly, and we needed a little bit more office space. I need a podcast studio, so that's there. So I've got an office, podcast space, and then 2 rooms dedicated to this business. And it's filled to the ceiling with these things. And now we're pricing out runs of 100, 200, and 300,000 of them.
That's amazing. And in business overall, like that obviously was made possible this last year. I loved how you pivoted, and business is going well. There's still a demand for for this niche product?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're adding gifts to go with the bags. I added a product just this morning. We've got like the one I added this morning, it's a mug and it says welcome home on it. And, my idea, and I told you about this a while back, it's like if
Yep.
you give somebody a Neal Cox realtor mug, it's
Yeah,
not a gift.
that's right.
It's
Yeah.
a business card in the shape of a gift, and people know that.
Right. But if you can give something genuine,
Hmm.
and like, a mug, or something that's not tied to you.
Hmm.
I mean, I still have this mug that I drink out of. It was a gift that I was given over 4 years ago. Has my name on it. It's
Nice.
goofy, right? But it's my mug. And so
Yeah.
it's a perfect example. I know exactly who gave that to me.
And you
And
think of them.
and I think of them. And so that's remarkable. Where can people learn more? Because I know we have quite a few people in that, actually
Hmm.
realtors that listen to this show. Where can people find out more about your company?
Welcomehomebags.com.
That's welcomehomebags.com.
Hmm. And I went as far as I own a patent on it now and a
Good for you.
trademark and all this stuff. It's like once this thing gets out there, Target's going to want to steal it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the reality, man. When it comes to community, and this is one of the things I want to talk to you about, it's one of the things that I am excited about just through this series and what we're working on is there are people like you in our community that's like, oh, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to lean on someone that has done it, who has had a patent, who has had a trademark, who had to pivot, who is crushing it
Hmm.
in real estate, like it's just truly remarkable. So I want to ask you a couple questions about your viewpoint or what you've learned or some of the biggest wins that you've had going through the Betterwealth process. And so the
Hmm.
first question I have is why did you ever decide why did you decide to work with Betterwealth to begin with?
When you gave your presentation at that conference, so much of it made sense to me. And the usual, chunking along at like putting some money towards mutual funds, which rarely gets prioritized in our household. I took my um, retirement from teaching with me and put it in mutual funds. And does it grow? A little bit, maybe. But all those fees and such that you talk about really chip away at the true compound interest of it. And you explaining the and asset, I don't know, I was a good mark at that time because it was something I'd been thinking of, retirement and doing all that. They force you to pay into your retirement when you're a teacher,
Yeah.
but when you're self-employed, they don't. So, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And it just seemed to make so much sense um, to check this out and invest in it. And it took a little bit of getting my wife on board because she wasn't at the conference and me explaining it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I wasn't nearly as eloquent as you were at the time. And between working with Jeremy and him, there was a point where she got it too. It was real. She's like, okay.
Yeah. Now, so I'm curious about a couple things. Number
Hmm.
one, it's interesting because mutual funds. Let's just assume mutual funds are chugging along, but you just explained how you did a business within this last year,
Hmm.
and that business is making a tremendous impact on your life. It's bringing money in. We
Hmm.
won't have to disclose that, but it's bringing money in. It's giving you influence, and it's true. Like you were fired up about it when you were telling me, and I just thought, okay,
Absolutely.
okay. So when we talk about return on results, take the and asset out of it. I don't care about that at this point. But let's just say you have a financial system in place for you to actually invest in things that matter to you. That
Hmm.
not only financially, I think will make a big difference, but will help you become more fulfilled. And I want that mindset for people to get inspired by because there's a lot of people that are investing and the byproduct of investing is saying no to that thing that's going to change their life. And I want that to sink in because we like to overanalyze compound interest and
Hmm.
compare products, but the reality is, what are those external benefits or what's the opposite of a benefit? A negatives
Yeah.
that happen because you do certain things.
Right. It's like a casualty.
Yep.
And I think there were a lot of casualties that have become benefits now that I wasn't realizing when I was teaching. Um, it's crazy how many teachers that I knew that, they can tell you exactly when they're retiring, sometimes down to the month or day. And it's not soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, people just get burnt out, and it's sad. I knew people a year or two before retirement, they are mailing it in. They're there, and that's it.
Yep.
And I was tired. I was just not in a good mental place. I get charged by all my work these days.
Cool.
Um, I had a non-work related training that I had to do on Monday. It was like 2 or 3 hours long. I was like, dang, it's gonna shorten my day.
Yep.
I've got stuff to do.
Yep. I love it, man.
Um, I know when I was teaching and you had like, you get a shortened day somehow, you're like, yes,
Yep.
this is awesome. But there's too much to do right now, and
Right.
that's good.
So one of the things that you went through with Better Wealth is you went through our four pillars with Jeremy, which is clarity, efficiency, consistency, and use. And
Mhm.
then we back that up by a financial model. Anything that jumped out by going through the model or going through clarity or going through efficiency that we're like, wow, like I've never thought of that before, or that was a win as it relates to going through that process.
The model to me was the coolest thing because Jeremy would say, "Oh, okay, so you're planning to do X, Y, and Z in year, A. Let's see what that does." And you can see it. You're like, "Oh, you're 70. You're out of money. You might want to change that a little bit." The ability to visualize using that model is awesome. Um, Clarity. Now, I used to be a big Dave Ramsey guy. And I know you have mixed feelings on Dave, I believe. I listened to you discuss one of his rants recently. And there are certain things for clarity that I had. Like, I've been living off of a budget since about 2002 or three. It's not unfamiliar to me, but the efficiency piece is what I didn't have before. Like, okay, well, if you did this, then you would get this result by doing that. The zero-based budget that I use in more of a Dave Ramsey model, it throws efficiency out of the window.
Yep.
Um, and that I think his philosophy is that the numbers don't matter. It's all head stuff, but they do matter.
Yep.
It's both.
Yep. Yep. That's awesome, man. Yeah, the model is something that pretty much validates everything that we talk about. And what's
Hmm.
really cool is we can say whatever we want. You can say whatever we want, but math is math and you can back up
Hmm.
everything. In my book I talk about every dollar you lose, you don't just lose that dollar, but you lose what that dollar could have earned you the rest of your life. I think that's one of the biggest tragedies in how we think about money is majority of people don't understand the true lifetime opportunity cost or cost period of any decision. And it is cool to start looking at that and yeah, it's really special. And I think clarity for a lot of people, the feedback that we get is they've never been more clear because they've never had someone that's like a third party that genuinely cares
Hmm.
and saying, what do you really want? And let's not move forward until we have that. And then the second thing is, I don't know if you've experienced this, but a lot of people in the financial service business want to sell you something. And even though you heard a very niche talk about the and asset, you're probably a little bit surprised you come in and we're like, it's like, you want the and asset. And we're like, hold on, let's take you through a process because we don't even know if the and asset's right for you. And so efficiency, a lot of people get a lot of wins there because it's like, oh, for the first time, I'm looking at my cash flow. I'm looking at my assets. I'm looking at my liabilities. I have a model that I can see where I'm at. And then anything that I do with my money going forward you should be able to actually mathematically back that up. So it's cool because you were going through that process, and it's still, I mean, we're still figuring it all out as a company. But we
Yeah.
are getting excited because we're getting more and more wins, and it's going to be able to scale because we're building systems for that. And so I love that you shared that.
That's what's next for the bag business, because my side hustle is starting to consume a lot of valuable time. Um, it I've got to figure out how to scale it, and regain,
Yeah.
and keep control as well.
Yep. I love it, man. What would you say to anybody who's a little bit nervous about 2021 or just period, and is unsure what they should do as it relates to doing what they really believe in their heart? Like, what is there a process? Is there a question that you would challenge them with? Is there a statement? Um,
Well, let's turn off the TV. Let's turn off the news. Um, I think our country in a lot of ways is going through some crisis too.
yeah,
My TV's not on right now. I'm not going through crisis right now. There are problems. I'm not saying that there's not, but you can't affect those problems in direct ways usually, but you can affect your life. You can grab the bull by the horns as far as yourself, and lead it in the right direction.
yeah. I love it. I love it,
Yeah.
man. Anything else that you want to share as it relates to your story? Anything that you've learned about being in business, going through the Betterwealth process? Um,
Business, what's funny is I'm having, especially now that it's January, I'm having a crash course in bookkeeping, inventory, taxes, accounting, all that kind of stuff. When you're a realtor, there's no product there.
yeah,
So a simple expenses and income report pretty much takes care of it. And you don't know what you don't know. I'm trying to run those same numbers on the business, and it ain't working. And because I didn't have all the inventory and cost of goods sold and all that stuff to mess with. So I'm currently in a crash course and all that stuff right now.
I love it, man. I love it. You know how we end all of our podcasts? It's with the legacy question. And the legacy question
Oh,
goes like this: um, if this was your last day on Earth and you were with the people that you love the most, what would you articulate in that last conversation with the ones that you love?
I would want them to know how much I love them. I assume we're thinking like immediate family, and I feel really blessed. I've got an amazing wife. I've got 3 great kids. We do a lot together, and I would just want them to know that they're my world.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Yeah.
How can people find out more about you, get connected, and stay connected for what you're doing?
NealCoxRealtor.com, or on Facebook, Neal Cox Realtor, and WelcomeHomeBags.com is the bags business.
I love it. If you're watching this, thank you so much. We would love. We're trying to grow our YouTube channel, so liking, sharing, and also if you are someone that has a story that you want to share, if you're part of our community and want to share insights, where we want to be way more intentional. If you want to learn more about the financial model, if you want to learn more about our services, if you want to learn more about Better Wealth, you can go to betterwealth.com, and you can always email me at caleb@betterwealth.com. We want to hear from you. We are passionate about intentional living, and as you can see, we have people that are winning, that are being better fathers, being better husbands, being better entrepreneurs, and living more intentionally. And so, Neal, thank you for living that out. It is a blessing to know you, and I'm excited to see us both grow our businesses and our impact for the future.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to the Better Wealth Podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.